I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
It was a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
So you said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Aliens won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1, 6, 3, 2, 9, 7.
Media doesn't have your best interest in mind. The government is self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. Well, good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We aren't broadcasting on the radio tonight. I'm still working on that. There's something wrong with it. I got to fix it. I'll fix it this weekend. We'll be good to go on Sunday. We are not on KUAP digital broadcasting right now, but we will be very soon. Thank you for understanding as I've been away for a minute, and things tend to break when you don't watch them. Tonight, we got a doozy for you. As usual, that's the whole point of these shows, is to really sort of expand the mind in terms of what it means, as I always say, to be human. Not just together and as the collective and in this wild, crazy world ruled by algorithmic control and all the rest. But beyond that, the idea of telling stories. And shout out Herschel there. I was listening to his podcast, his new podcast, The Arc of the Bard. Please check that out. Links are in the description, of course. Check out Commercial Herschel, his Substack. But I was listening today as I was at work, and he's doing some amazing stuff as part of this larger community. That's exactly the point of this. And he had an amazing guest on. He's had several amazing guests on so far, and he's just getting started. But with this new podcast anyway, but he's talking to authors, he's talking to storytellers, he's talking to people that write fiction and these other ideas that it's interesting to listen to, because people have their own sort of ideas about downloads, their own ideas about the muses, about all these things, and storytelling as the most potent technology, as we've talked about on this show in the past. Now, beyond that, I already had this plan, so it wasn't like it was more of a synchronicity than anything. But a lot of the topics we talked about tonight came up in the discussion that Herschel was doing earlier on in the day. So if that podcast will not launch for a couple of weeks, but I will let you know. We will certainly share it in the Discord when that hits. So please come hang out and be part of the Discord if you have not. troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Also, the actual phone line is down tonight because, again, we had too many technical issues, so I want to put it through the full stress test, get everything working, and then we'll do that on Sunday, get everything back to where it should be. So we're just kind of, again, I'm getting myself back into the swing here and us together as a group and just talking wild ideas. And I've got a wild one for you this evening. Shall we? Shall we just get right to it? I'm going to read this. Now, I was going to do the teleprompter, but it's a little weird because I need to change that. I was breathing too much and all snorting and stuff, all bulgy like a moose. Anyway, I'm going to just read it old school and do it this way. But check this out. This is what this is about. What if every story you've ever loved wasn't invented? What if it was remembered? Tonight, I want to take you somewhere uncomfortable, somewhere that flips everything you think you know about fiction, about mythology, about why we tell stories at all. And I'm going to start with a simple question that nobody seems to be asking. Why do humans tell stories? Now, I know what you're thinking. We tell stories to entertain ourselves, to pass the time, to teach lessons, to connect with each other. And sure, all of that is true on the surface, but it doesn't explain the compulsion. It doesn't explain why every single culture on Earth, without exception, developed storytelling traditions. Again, a good conversation with Herschel today on his podcast about the oral tradition and where this stuff comes from. I continue here. It doesn't explain why a child will demand the same story night after night with an intensity that borders on desperation. It doesn't explain why certain narrative beats hit us so hard that we weep in movie theaters over people who don't exist. Joseph Campbell spent his life studying this. He documented what he called the monomyth. We've talked about it often on the show, the hero's journey. This universal story structure that appears everywhere. The call to adventure, the threshold crossing, the descent into darkness, the trials and temptations, the mentor who guides and then disappears, the supreme ordeal, the transformation, and of course the return. Campbell found this pattern in Greek myths and Star Wars. We've talked about that as well. In ancient Sumerian tablets and Marvel movies, and in Aboriginal Dreamtime stories and Japanese anime. It's everywhere. Literally everywhere he looked, the same story. His explanation was psychological. He said, we're all working through the same internal drama. The hero's journey is a map of ego death and rebirth, the process of individuation, of becoming who you really are. Makes some sense, right? Jung said something similar. Archetypes, and we've talked about this often as well, the collective unconscious. Shared psychological hardware producing shared psychological software. And that's a fine explanation. It's respectable, it's academic, it's safe. But what if it's wrong? What if all of this is wrong? And we turn this on its head. And I'm calling this tonight, Art Imitates the Afterlife, the light at the end of the narrative. And I'll tell you why I called it that. What if the hero's journey isn't a metaphor for personal growth? What if it's a literal description of something that actually happens? What if we keep telling this story over and over in every medium and every age because something in us knows we're going to need it? Here's the premise I want you to sit with tonight. Art doesn't imitate life. Art imitates the afterlife. And every story you've ever been told is a training simulation for a journey you will actually take. Now, before you bounce and you're like, I'm out of here, this is too wild for me, hear me out. Because I'm not pulling this from nowhere. This is, again, tried and true going back ages. The human age. Let's start with the Tibetan Book of the Dead. Speaking of which, we're going to get to the bardos tonight, if you've ever heard of this. This is a text that's been around for 1,000 years, over 1,000 years, and it's not technically mythology. It's not allegory. It's written as a practical guide, a travel manual. It describes in extraordinary detail what happens to consciousness after the body dies. The bardo states, the lights you'll encounter, the entities you'll meet, the choices you'll face, the ways you can get lost, and the ways you can find liberation. Does any of that sound familiar? Read that text and then watch the hero's journey narrative. The parallels aren't subtle. They're exact. The threshold crossing into the unknown, the trials that test your character, the monsters that are really manifestations of your own fear. The guide who can only take you so far before you have to face the final challenge alone. The light at the end that represents either transcendence or the beginning of a new cycle. Yeah, starting to see it? It's the same map. The Tibetans just didn't dress it up as entertainment. Now let's talk about NDEs as part of this, the near-death experience. Thousands of people across all cultures, all religions, all backgrounds have reported what happens when they die and come back. And here's what's strange. Their experiences have narrative structure. They describe a tunnel and a light. A life review where they witness their actions from the perspective of those they affected. Encounters with deceased relatives or beings of light who serve as guides. A boundary or threshold they're told they cannot cross if they want to return. And then the return itself, with knowledge they didn't have before. That's a 3-act structure, very hero's journey. That's the monomyth playing out in these clinical settings, documented by researchers, etc., so on. Now think about the light at the end of the tunnel. It's the ultimate cinematic trope. It's in every death scene, every near-death scene, every transcendence moment. The hero walks into the light, the screen fades to white. We've seen it 1,000 times. Now why? This weaves further and deeper, and I'm not going to read the entire thing, but you get the idea here. Like, what is going on? And so the premise is very simple. And I'm asking you if it's possible. Do you think that somehow, some way, this entire hero's journey aspect and every bit of our storytelling that goes back to the beginning of the dawn of humanity is based on these NDEs that we will need as co-creators, as entities that are basically building our own heaven and our own hell? You write a book, maybe you end up in Westeros. You get what I mean? Anyway, there's where we start. Love to hear your thoughts on this. A lot of questions, a lot of ideas, a lot of near-death experience stuff. The light at the end of the tunnel is always fascinating. But I do wonder if there is a more functional reason why we do tell these stories to each other that's simply not camaraderie, or a lot of the things that I listed earlier and we continue to talk about on this show. So that's what's on my mind tonight. Taking your calls as usual on the Discord if you want to be part of the conversation. 702-957-1037 is the phone number that is not working tonight, so don't call that. But do click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Move my head out of the way, and there you go, right there on the screen, troubledminds.org. It's a thing right on top. Can't miss it. Click the button on top. It says join the Discord. Anyway, be right back. More Troubled Minds coming up in exactly 1 minute. Going to get a word from our sponsor. In this case, that would be Human Inspiration. Do not go anywhere. More Troubled Minds in exactly 1 minute. We got James here with us tonight, and looking to hear your thoughts on this as well. Be right back. See you in 1 minute. In a world increasingly shaped by AI, human inspiration remains the beating heart of creativity. Alien Skin by Tremble, a hauntingly beautiful piano ballad, reminds us that while algorithms can mimic art, the raw, unfiltered emotions of human experience are irreplaceable. So here I sit, locked in my room again. Written and composed by Jesse Ian in collaboration with Todd Smith, this progressive masterpiece delves into the depths of internalized grief and the silent toll of artistic compromise. As AI reshapes our reality, Alien Skin stands as a testament to the timeless power of human emotion and the complex beauty that only true artists can evoke. Experience the haunting beauty of Alien Skin by Tremble and support human inspiration. Available now on iTunes. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Let us continue, shall we? So what do you think? I don't know. Like, it's as usual, I like to invert some of these ideas. I like to think about these maybe these old tropes in new and different ways, because I do wonder with the acceleration we're always talking about, I'm always thinking about maybe what comes next. You start slapping some Neuralinks into people, and maybe, just maybe, we start to get actual true data on what this light is in a near-death experience. And maybe it's a little bit more functional than we ever thought, because, of course, clinically speaking, there's a lot of ways to consider it. And they say that it's like, you know, the main medical thing they say about it is it's a lack of oxygen to your brain. And so it causes this sort of light tunnel effect. Okay, fine. But what if it's way more functional and way more weird than that? As you know, let's get weird. I would read the phone number, but it is not working. So do click the Discord, get on in here, and let's talk about it. Let's go to James in Michigan. What's up, brother? Thanks for being patient at Salcedo Paranormal. How are you tonight? And lots here. I know you read the write-up. Thank you for that. And what's on your mind? Welcome to the joint.
Yeah, glad to be here. And amazing topic. It reminds me of sort of my journey through started moving from fiction to nonfiction in terms of the stories that I've always been interested in. And I still think fiction is amazing, but I'll just kind of go over this real quick. So I've always been interested in stories, and as I got to be older, science fiction, and of course paranormal stories and all that. And so I always thought they were amazing, but then years later I started getting into researching the paranormal and all the aspects of that, near-death experiences being one aspect. I've never really looked into any one thing in a deep way, so I don't know a ton about near-death experiences. But the thing that's fascinating to me about all this is I've read a lot of paranormal and or ghost stories over the years. They were fiction, only to look into reports from people who had experiences where they were similar to what was coming out in fiction. And so then the question to me is, well, why? How does that work? And I don't doubt that in some cases, some of the people that maybe have written some of these fictional stories have possibly had experiences or heard about them, know people that have, but I also wonder, could they have come up with these things on their own or through, again, downloads, the muses, whatever you want to call that, getting messages or information from other levels of reality, or other realities, even other dimensions, who knows? And I believe I've had experience with that as well in my own, back when I was writing a lot more fiction. But so I just think it's fascinating. And one thing I've come across too with this, talking about mythology and cultures around the world, when people these days have experiences with visitations from loved ones that have passed on, the version of an afterlife, or the afterlife, or whatever you want to call that, it seems to be influenced by, or at least, I don't know, I guess that's the best way to put it, influenced by the beliefs of the people involved in the experience. So that makes me wonder, again, is there one version of an afterlife? And I don't know the answer to that, except to say it seems possible based on all the accounts I've found over the years. And if that's the case, then I would think you would get memories and or even just glimpses of memories of what it may have been like in between when we were here and when we were elsewhere.
Yeah, it is highly fascinating that all these NDEs, again, cultures, time, space, whatever, it turns into this a very parallel story, a very parallel experience. And I do wonder, as you're describing the muses and sort of where these ideas do come from, if there is some actual capacity for us to tune into that. So, and this is speculation that goes back to people channeling entities and all manner of things. But I think the one thing that any creative person, any writer, any musician, anybody who creates anything can really agree with in some capacity is that inspiration strikes out of nowhere. Inspiration is one of those things that, you could have writer's block, or suddenly you could, kind of just go into this weird trance and almost do automatic writing and just smash like 6 chapters of your book for some reason that's been pent up forever. And so where does that come from? And there is certainly human things you can do to kind of speed the process along. But beyond that, and in the metaphysical sense, I think it's wild and wonderful to consider that maybe there is something happening that draws us not to just the storytelling experience, but also the fact that we're trying to sort of make heads and tails of the same singular, not the monomyth, but the mono story, basically, which is at the end of it all, there is a light. And as we've talked to Dr. Courtney Brown in the past of Farsight, some say stay away from the light. Some say go into the light. It is part of the cosmic recycling process of reincarnation. But what does it mean? I don't know. And again, just throwing some ideas out there. And of course, what do you guys think as part of those, part of the larger conversation? Go ahead, James. What else you got?
Yeah, and I mean, even in some cases where maybe it doesn't, I've had a couple of experiences where I didn't get, like, I have had situations where characters just appeared and or they started doing things that I had not planned. And I mean, there's varying opinions on what that is. I don't know, but I've also had situations just once or twice where I was writing where it felt like I was seeing a movie or seeing the story in my mind and then just typing it out. And it was, I didn't get a ton of like 6 chapters done necessarily, but the scenes I was working on, just the time went by so fast and I finished them and it was easy. It was like I wasn't coming up with it. It was literally, I felt like I had tuned into something or something had tuned into me, and I was writing about something that happened somewhere. And so, again, I mean, does that mean that there's a multiverse where when sometimes writers pick up on things that happen elsewhere? I don't know, but even if it's sort of some metaphysical plane elsewhere, then that's still picking up on things that did not come directly just from us.
Yeah, oddly enough. And once again, we still know, like we know the human story, and yet it still moves us to tears. These cycles of these stories that we continue to tell, they still get us. Like we haven't escaped that yet. And I don't know, I think when we do, we kind of cease to become human. We've ascended into I don't know, a mind state that's, dare I suggest, alien. And, non-human intelligence is, as the fractals keep moving, is everybody's telling us, right? It's here, it's coming, all the rest of the stuff. But, everybody hold your horses. I'm not so sure. Lots of things in play here. And near-death experiences, the light at the end of the tunnel. And again, clever, art imitates the afterlife, the light at the end of the narrative. Maybe it's the source. It is the source of all storytelling, and we're all telling the story to get back to that space, regardless of time or place or culture or whatever. I got a couple minutes left. If you got anything else, James. Oops, go ahead.
Just the first of all, for everyone, I do recommend reading the write-up because there's a lot in there for the show here tonight. But I just if we think about mythology, and I don't know nearly as much about this as some people do, but I've heard that some of the figures in different mythology and different parts of the world, they seem to be similar in nature, and at least in either how they act and or how they appear. And if that's the case, then where are people getting that from? Are they having experiences with other beings, and whether it's something that is literally an apparition or something that just makes contact with them in their own minds? Is it coming from messages from people who have had near-death experiences and or visitations from loved ones in dreams? I think all those things are possible connections to something that otherwise we normally can't access while we are awake and alive and well.
Yeah, and it is wild that the dream state intertwines heavily with this, and maybe that is where some of this inspiration comes from. We can't really differentiate. Again, a lot of this came up during the conversation on Herschel's podcast today as well. A lot of amazing things to consider when you're talking about the human mind and inspiration. But then, of course, is there a source? Is there sort of a singular source where all storytelling comes from that's trying to draw us back and even sort of pepper these ideas through us so we kind of become our own psychopomps, our own guardian of that threshold once we achieve that space, that liminal bardo space. I think I said it inappropriately earlier, but did I say Bordeaux? The bardo space of the Tibetan Book of the Dead is that there's like the 6 stages of liminality, and a lot of that has to do everything with what we're talking about with Joseph Campbell and Carl Jung, but then also leading us back to ourselves, which again sounds very cyclical and very weird, but maybe this is what we're dealing with. I don't know. Final thought, James.
Yeah, I mean, even just thinking about there's an Egyptian Book of the Dead. A lot of cultures around the world do have their ideas about what comes after, and some of the similarities could probably be a whole other show. So I might do that at some point, actually.
Yeah, why not? Why not? That's the whole point, is to inspire each other with these ideas and flesh them out further. I don't have to remind anybody I'm imperfect entirely, and a lot of this stuff that I talk about, I'm clearly not an expert on. However, I don't think you have to be to recognize what's happening in the world around us when it comes to storytelling, when it comes to this idea of art imitating not just life, but the Afterlife. Carol Ann, Stay Away from the Light. Remember that? Yeah, it's an oldie but a goodie. I don't know. Let me hear your thoughts on this. Phone line is down tonight, but we're taking your calls on Discord, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way. Going to say hi to the chat, and we'll stay on the radio clock. Be right back. More on the way with James. We got Joe coming up, Enoch, and the Robert, and your calls as well. More Troubled Minds when we return. See you then. Okay, I'm going to say hi to the chat real quick, and then I will play the part of this song. What's up, Gaston? What's up, Matsell? Enoch is here. Joe in Florida. What's going on, Lily? The Robert, Dawn, Herschel. I said earlier, what's the name there? I know you. Did you change your name? I recognize the face. Who is this? Third Eye Sound Alchemist, right? Yeah, Third Eye. Tell me what you want me to call you, because it's a long name there. Appreciate you guys hanging out on the Discord. Over to Rumble. Actually, we missed YouTube last time. Let's go to YouTube first. I got some interesting names over there. A new name. What's up? Ioxy's here. How you doing? We've got lots of Madco. I see you guys in all the different places. Viking Lloyd is here. Was the first. How you doing? Good evening. I like that name. I'm not sure I recognize it. Did you change it, or you new? I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting old and I can't remember anything anymore. What's going on? Lily's here from Australia. I see you guys. Hope you're well tonight. Just hanging out doing Troubled Mind stuff, and hope you're well. Welcome back to the joint. Over to Rumble. We got Hiker was first. Ephemerance, Gordo. I see you guys. Was Hiker first? Yeah, Hiker was first, definitely. And then we had Sweets. What's going on, Gordo? Ephemerance, like I said. Good evening. I see you there. The Puff sighting again. That happened. What's going on? He said he was going to lurk tonight. If I missed anybody, just say hi as we go, and I will continue to just be like, hey, what's up? My name's Mike. I'm a Pisces. All right, here we go. Going to play a little bit of this song because I made it, and it's decent. And yeah, be right back. More Troubled Minds in about 2 minutes. Going to play a little bit of this song, and we'll be back with James and a couple calls. And forgive the weird stuff, the weirdness of the show. Let's see, this one here. Where is it? Oh my goodness gracious. Not that one. Oh, buttons. There we go.
You traced my outline program sleep, black ink bleeding through a torn white dream. You said, stay here on this final page. Then you turned away, let the is this the light at the end of the narrative, or just the burn of an exit sign? Are we a scene that the writer added to two lost kids stuck in the margins of time? Heart imitates the keep dying in your lines. Shadows on carpet from the flicker glow screen. Our faces glitching in a looped type scene. You pause the moment on my almost smile.
All right, let's play. Oops, not what we want. How about this one? Welcome back to Troubled Minds. All the places, all the things, troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link, come say hi. Today we're talking art imitates the afterlife. Now, is there one singular source for the reason we tell all the stories we tell, and why are they narratives that parallel and echo each other into the past so deeply that it almost feels like it's the same damn story over and over and over again? Love to hear your thoughts on this. A lot of ways to look at this and consider these ideas, which is exactly the point, to talk to each other and consider them sort of outside the paradigm of non-creative thought. I mean, we're not doctors and dentists and, you know, that type of, I mean, if you are, good on you. But my point is we're dreamers. We're collective dreamers. So let us collective dream together. That's Jacob Harsher, boy. Sorry about that. Yep, I do. I knew you. Okay, no, don't read the number. Troubledminds.org. Click the Discord link. Old habits die hard. Let's go to, thanks for being patient, fellas. Let's go to Joe in Florida. You were first. Good evening. You are on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. How you doing tonight, my friend? Welcome back, and go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Hey, can you hear me okay?
Yep, loud and clear. You sound great.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Thought always occurs to my mind what happens when we die here and there. And, I might have put it in the chat a little bit, but sometimes I'm thinking before we come back to whatever that is, we're like in an airplane and we're kind of in paradise. And it's like, oh, I don't want to leave paradise. I don't want to go. But somebody inevitably lights it on fire. So you got to get out of the plane. And then you're back here. And it's no fun. But what happens if it's less fun when we go back into the light? And I'm sure some of us here have done or have heard some of the videos from that guy Morg that has a YouTube channel about the God of the Old Testament being the bad God, but the real source, is the light that really we should go back to, but we've been conditioned or trapped in this cycle for the loosh, as Night Stalker would say, that they feed on the loosh on a never-ending cycle of the Wheel of Karma. But as far as the need to tell stories, to me it gets into a question I had in college about like being an atheist, if you didn't have any belief, but you still have to have hope for tomorrow. I would imagine that people that have no belief in anything, and that maybe think that when they die, we just turn into worms, that there's people out there like that. And they still go on. They still probably watch movies and they watch TV like everybody else, but they're still being fed what we see in the media, what we see around us. Another thing that it just made me think about too is, if we do come back and we have these near-death experiences and things, one would assume that time doesn't exist outside of our bodies. And assuming that we do go somewhere, who's to know that we're not recycled, not only here, but on different planets or different realms. I'm not saying that UFOs aren't true, because I believe in UFOs and things like that. But who's to say, and James kind of alluded to this, that maybe on some of these third encounters or fourth encounters, whatever they are, what of a close encounter, that maybe some of those are actually not near-death experiences, but recollections of things from maybe lives that we lived on other planets.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, or not even necessarily planets in our mind, the astral or whatever, like all these different places, the dream realm, the Aboriginal dreaming, like that kind of came up in the write up there. There's so much to it. You're absolutely right. Yeah, go ahead.
So, it's kind of funny because I had, without getting into it, maybe when we have one more time here and there, but I've shared in the past, but I'm getting through a year of health struggles. And I was put under anesthesia a couple of weeks ago. Anesthesiologist looks at me and he goes, dude, you're taking lorazepam for sleep. He's like, what are you, crazy? He's like, you're going to lose your memory when you're 55. So I've stopped cold turkey before, but you bet your ass that night I stopped taking that cold turkey. Would you believe? And I dream from time to time. When I do dream, it's typically violent. That's why I have a weighted blanket, because I get up swinging sometimes. But as of late, I've been dreaming like, not that I fly, but I could jump. I have been getting more ideas. I wake up with more things at 3 o'clock in the morning. not boners, just things in my head at 3 o'clock in the morning. So things like that do come to me. And I start to remember how I was when I was much younger. Probably when it was an age of innocence, when you didn't have a mortgage and health insurance and bills to pay, right? So we take those medicines, whatever they are, over the counter, not over the counter, whatever it is. And I'm not saying don't do it. I've never done a drug in my life. Believe me, I wish I would go back and do some mind altering. I really do. I really wish I could.
Don't do drugs, kids. All the disclaimers. Go ahead.
But I really wish I could I really wish I could see the machine elves. I just don't know that I would come back totally functional. However, kind of lost my train of thought on here. I think that dreaming and having all those aspects and being open to that, the more our bodies aren't polluted here. Obviously, we all know the more open we could be to what else is out there. And maybe that doesn't come to fruition. Maybe you do write a book, because that's all we can do. Maybe some of us get a TV show. But if you look at Roddenberry, right, it is a healthy dream of the future, not a dystopian one. And we all know that as we think that maybe our story on this planet is drawing to a change, that change could be dystopian. That change could be a Star Trek future, but we know in that Star Trek future that before that future came, we had to go through a dystopian hellscape, if everybody knows, in the past in Roddenberry's, history of the Earth. So that's all bad. I could tell you one thing that I think about all of this. I think that no matter what we believe, where we go, what we see, if we stay, if we come back, and maybe we do come back out of boredom, maybe we do have a chance to stay where we're at. Okay. I can't see any of us learning any more lessons than we have. If spirits and souls were learning lessons, by definition, there'd probably be less people on this planet than more. If that makes any type of idea, unless it's unlimited. But if we're all here to learn a lesson, and the population just keeps growing, what lesson are we really learning except eating up the resources and wanting to kill each other? It just seems like if that's the truth, if that's the game about it, then the game is never to win. It's just to keep coming back. But getting back to one thing is for certain, 6 degrees or 7 degrees of separation, whatever it is. I think that we're all connected, whether we're on this show to talk about things like when I first met you on the show and I was having a hard time, and you putting the show back on lately has given me a little sense of normalcy before I go back to bed here soon. Because I got to get up early to take a body to the airport. But we're all connected. I'll leave you with this weird story about being connected. I have a vehicle that I bought. It's an EV. It's not a very popular EV. The only other guy that bought this EV is on a chat Facebook group. He lives way up in Spring Hill. I've reached out to him, never met the guy in person, just to ask him about his EV. Don't know him at all. This past weekend, I get a phone call at the funeral home from a family member that's asking me to change their airline flight. I take the name down, and I look at the lady's name, and it's the same name as the guy who was sending me the message about the EV car that we have together. So I shoot him up on Facebook. I hit him up on Facebook. And I'm like, hey, dude, is this a family member's name? He literally messages me back, and he goes, what are the chances? He goes, you just called my house because we're going to North Carolina, but I need you to change a flight because my uncle-in-law passed away.
Whoa.
And it was it was just spooky from that point on. And I basically wrote him a letter, signed it, so he could change his flight with Frontier. So we're all connected, even in the minors, things like just a simple car that literally, I think only like 1,200 of the units were sold in the United States. So, and I'm happy with the EV, but they're pulling out and there's complaints about it. But I like the vehicle. Thank God it's just a lease. Because I will give it back. I'm not a big fan of EV. I like the EV, but I'm not a big fan of EVs. That's a whole other story. I've rambled enough.
I'm a big fan of synchronicities, and you got a stack of them. So appreciate you very much. I just had that this week, and I have another synchronicity about when I came out of one of my surgeries.
which if we have a chance to talk, if you do a show on synchronicity, let me know or something, because I was literally getting wheeled out of the hospital. I told my wife, hey, that looks like somebody I know. And I literally get home from the hospital, basically telling you the story, and I go on Facebook, and it's a fellow DJ whose husband was in the hospital that day to get something done to the spinal cord to release pressure on it. And I message her on Facebook, and I go, hey, are you at this so-and-so hospital? And she goes, yeah, how'd you know? And I'm like, they wheeled me right by your room. And she was like, what the fudge? Yeah, that happened. Like, I've had like 2 synchronicities like in 3 weeks. So anyway, have a good night, guys. I won't be on long. See you next week, hopefully.
You're the best. Appreciate the call. A synchronicity storm happening around Joe. Keep your ear to the ground. You never know what's coming next.
Totally weird, man.
Sleep well when you get back to sleep, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night.
Have a good night.
You too. You know him, you love him, Joe in Florida, the official undertaker of Troubled Minds Radio. Ha ha ha. Good, literally been a good friend for years, and we met on the show and just kind of hit it off, and we've been weird bros from other coasts for quite a long time now. Great stuff there. Anything on what he said, James, regarding any of that stuff? Definitely synchronicities play here. It's really most of what we do these days. But anything you got, then we'll get to Enoch and the Robert. Thanks for being patient, fellas.
Yeah, I think one word that Joe said there, great call as always, he mentioned change, and I do think if you think about it, whether you believe in something, whatever you believe in that happens after the body does stop working, it's a change. You're not the same as you were, and it seems like all stories are about one kind of change or another, and even one kind of death or another. Maybe not always a physical death, but a death of a certain, personality or a way that you existed at one point. And in a story, things are happening to where that may not be possible anymore. So I think that change is a big aspect of all of this. And I think, that's another thing that is always at the heart of most stories, I think.
Yeah, 100%. And we are always changing. I'm old now. I'm not used to being old because I've never been old before. Let me tell you, it's overrated. It's totally overrated. Give me back my 30-year-old body, and I'll keep my 50-year-old brain, though. But yeah, wild stuff. I mean, change is the only constant. And again, maybe it is the coherence of all that information and why we do tell the stories, because of exactly that. You can't even sort of, the same person, same river, never twice. Shout out Rivers, a friend of ours there. But that's the point of this, is change is the one constant that maybe the coherence of sort of a static story of Odysseus or whatever, it sticks and maybe makes some sense to us when we're 10, and also makes sense to us when we're 90, if, knock on wood, we're so lucky to live that long. But yeah, wild stuff. I think maybe that's what this is all about. Transmutation, says Matzal in the chat. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and again, there's so many accounts of the world changing and moving from one world to another, and a physical world even. The whole idea of like an end of the world, it's not always just the end as in everything is done. It's an end to the way things were, and then something new is going to happen after. So that's all I have for now.
Awesome. Well said. I'm not sure. I thought Austin was first. You guys tell me. Were you first, Austin? Because now my list says Robert was first. So you clarify that pretty please for me in the chat. I don't want to cut in line here, but we're going to take another call in a second here. But back to the premise real quick. Let me just reiterate what's going on. So I'm calling this Art Imitates the Afterlife, the light at the end of the narrative. Now, of course, that's the OBE light. That's the actual... like the stay away from the light, Carol Ann. And that's the whole point of this, is that maybe all the stories we've been telling forever originate from that light to prepare us. We're our own psychopomps. We're our own guardians of the threshold. And if we don't tell these cyclical stories, very Joseph Campbell-esque, very Carl Jung, then we're gonna miss the boat. Literally. I mean, maybe not literally, but the boat in Ra and Horus, like sort of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you got to catch the boat. I don't know. Anyway, so you get what I mean. That's the point here. Is this where this comes from? And is there a coincidence when it comes to these types of things? Nobody in the chat. Anybody clarify who was first there? I don't know if Austin was first. You can let him go. I was before. Okay. Got it. Copy that. Thank you. Okay. Got it. Let's go to the Robert. Thanks for being patient and gracious with each other. The Roberts in Pennsylvania. What's up, my man? You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and James. We're talking about something that's right down your alley. Yeah. Welcome. Happy New Year to you and yours. And welcome back to the joint. And what do you know about the light at the end of the narrative, my friend? Just unmute and go right ahead. Test 1 2, the Roberts. Just tap the unmute button, the little microphone button, and you should be good to go. The Roberts. You're on Troubled Minds. Hello. Are you there? All you gotta do is hit the unmute button, the little microphone. It's got a little line through it. Tap it, and you should be good. Assuming you're on your phone. If not, it's a little different on the PC or whatever, but click the little microphone button. It'll undo it, and we should be able to hear you. Test. 1 2 1 2. Okay. I'm going to talk a little bit here, and if you get it figured out, cool. If not, we'll bump you down. We'll get Enoch in here. Okay. So part of this, again, was not just, let's say, I had this planned from last night anyway, this whole idea. I stumbled across the idea of the delight at the end of the narrative, and this art imitates the afterlife. There we go. But the point being that welcome Robert to the show. Got a lot of background noise.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. A lot of background noise though. If you're not wearing headphones, you should be.
I am wearing headphones.
Oh, well, that's better.
Okay, no background noise.
Now we're good. I don't know what happened, but it's fixed. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead. What's on your mind, my man?
How you doing, old man?
Hey, getting old is overrated. Let me tell you what. I'm well. I hope you are as well.
I certainly missed the show. I'm glad you're back. Hope everything's well.
Thank you.
I'm a writer, right? And a lot of what happens when somebody dies and moves into the afterlife is they're taken through a library. There's all these books. It's like an infinite library, and it can reach in and pull a book, and it's their life. And what I think about something like that is that, along with what the topic you're speaking about, is that the whole story was written before the incarnate experienced it.
Yeah, I figured this would be right down your alley because you and I have talked about this before. And I do wonder if all of this is pre-scripted, and this came up in Herschel's podcast today as well. Is there such a thing as a unique story? Can you tell a new story? Or are we just stuck in these same cycles of telling the same thing over and over again for maybe this particular reason or some other reason? I don't know. Can you tell a unique story? Is it possible?
Sure it is. And I've written a couple stories that deal with just that very thing. And I'm not BSing anyone with those stories. They're fiction, but they're based on what my knowledge is of this whole thing. When we sleep, we go back to where we originate from, and we rehearse our lines for the next day. Just like Shakespeare said, it's a stage. The world's a stage, and we are but players on it. And he knew something, just like your article said. Shakespeare knew something.
Exactly. And it feels that way, right? It certainly feels that way. Mm-hmm. So what is the compulsion then? What is the compulsion for, again, back to that in the narrative there, like a little child that's like, tell me the same story again and again and again and again. It's like weirdly compulsive about something that seems so frivolous. That's just our imagination sort of tickling each other's brains in the best of ways. But why is it that we're drawn to this so heavily from cradle to grave, basically?
It's part of the script. All right, it's a story within a story. Right, we are the story, but there's a story within the story, and those are the books we read or the movies we see.
Okay. I can follow that, but still, why the compulsion? Is it literally that we I don't know, haven't created like a new type of art that will kind of take us away from storytelling? Or is it just...
I've said this to you before, Michael. All right. Why are we here? And there seems to be that the most common explanation is that we're here to learn to love, which makes no sense to me. Because from where we originate from, there's nothing but love. So why do we have to learn it here? Right? No, we're here to entertain. We're here to entertain ourselves. And you might think, well, how is that entertaining for somebody who is down their luck and living on the streets and taking and shooting up? It's entertainment. When you go to see a film and you see a character, a main character possibly, who is really having a rough time and is in bad shape and is losing his mind or whatever, we're being entertained by that. So we're entertaining each other, and we're also being monitored. The old idea of the watchers, right? There's an audience up there watching us perform our little story. And when we pass on, they decide whether we get the Academy Award or we get the Raspberry Prize.
Nominate me for the Razzie when we get there. I volunteer. I definitely volunteer.
I often wondered, all the books that have ever been written, the stories, let's say Christmas Carol or Oliver Twist, because I'm fond of Dickens. If all those stories that were created by their authors manifested themselves in some other realm, because there's an old philosophy that what you think you create.
Yeah, that's hit my mind as part of this too. Like like creating a character. When we've talked about this in the past, but drawing sort of like a fictional space, something you thought you created, but it's real somewhere. It's actually real somewhere. You just kind of tapped into it, and it's sort of manifesting itself through the lens of the muses and your creative outlet, which is writing in this case. So I don't know, man. I think it's complicated.
Look where we're going. Look where we're going with AI. All right, we can put ourselves in our own movie.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Remember, I predicted all this too.
It's interesting that's exactly what I've always believed, that we are somewhere else wherever we originated from. That's where we are, and we're creating our own movie. And now we're doing that. We're doing that in a 3-dimensional, 4-dimensional, 5-dimensional way with the AI. We're living our own story. We're creating it from where we're at, and then we're also able to create ourselves in a movie, just like we're being created from. Our story's being created from where we originate from. We're doing that. We're about to do that now. In this reality.
Yeah, it's coming. It's coming. You're right. It's right around the corner. You can do it in small doses, but it's going to be very soon where the compute is so fast and furious that you can just make yourself in whatever the hell you want.
You can create an epic movie, 3 hours long, for whatever purpose. But now people are creating music at the moment. All right, and Spotify is loaded with AI created music.
Yeah. Oh,
how do you copyright that? I mean, there's actual bands on Spotify don't exist.
Yeah, that are now about to be winning some music awards and whatnot. It's coming. It's all coming.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's say that the most popular music song, whatever, on Spotify for 2025 is a imaginary band. How do they walk out on stage and collect their trophy?
As a hologram, of course. That's how you do it. And you got to give them the imaginary trophy as a hologram too, because where are they going to put it? That they don't have a closet.
And whatever happened to that? Remember when they were starting to do holographic stage shows with like Michael Jackson and the guy that wrote the guy that's there was this big splash that there, with these holographic stage shows for dead rock stars.
Yeah,
right?
I think the lawyers ruined that for everybody, which it seems to track. Yeah, I think so.
It's done.
Well, no, I think they just sort of got sued into oblivion, and so now you need to sort of compensate the estate or whatever to properly to license the content. We'll see. You're right.
I've taken my share of communication with Mr. Strange, so I will leave now and listen to the rest of the show.
You were the best. Appreciate the call. Have a great night. That's the Robert in Pennsylvania. Go give him a follow. Check out his book, Stories from a Fractured Mind, the Robert Collection, troubledminds.org/friends. Says the Robert. Go check that out. Be right back. More Troubled Minds on the way. We got Austin in Michigan coming up. More from James. And your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. Yeah, let's see if I can do this properly. Let's find the reel. Here we go.
Let's check the news. A new imaging technique called computational scattered light imaging, COMSLI, allows scientists to analyze microscopic fiber networks in human tissue with unprecedented detail. COMSLI uses a rotating LED light source and a microscope camera to analyze light scattering and create color-coded maps detailing the layout of fiber networks. The technique is accessible to most labs and can be used on existing samples. Researchers used COMSLI to identify microstructural deterioration in the hippocampus of Alzheimer's patients and to render structures related to muscle, bone, and the vascular system. The technique could also be used to analyze archived brain sections. NASA is cutting short the 4-person Crew 11's mission to the International Space Station, ISS, by a month due to a serious medical condition affecting one of the astronauts. The agency has not disclosed the astronaut's identity or specific condition, citing privacy. The return is not considered an emergency evacuation, but a precautionary measure. A spacewalk was also canceled due to a medical concern. This marks the first early return due to a medical issue in the history of the ISS. The early return could delay some experiments and maintenance tasks. Sherpa's card-dealing robot, North, debuted at CES, drawing mixed reactions. While some marveled at its dexterity, others criticized it for potentially displacing human casino dealers and its slow pace. Social media comments ranged from anger about job losses to mockery of the robot's speed, with some predicting the eventual obsolescence of hand-dealt casino games. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Indeed. Funny that that robot. So there's CES going on right now in Vegas, which is the Consumer Electronics Show. It's invite only. You have to be like an insider, whatever. It's not open to the public. But they did. So they debuted at the CES show in Las Vegas a robot blackjack dealer. Like, can you believe that? like of all places on earth, where I don't know, there's like probably definitely thousands of people that pay their mortgages here as dealers in the casinos. And they're like, oh, here's the robot going to take all your jobs. Just another perfect example of all this, right? But yeah, I don't know. Like the news curated by me, again, for better or worse. It allows me to step away, take a leak if I need to, and keep you guys up to date on all the fresh, curated by Michael Strange type news. And sometimes Vegas is the tip of the spear when it comes to weird news. So yeah, what's up? Thank you, Sweets, for dropping the Robert, the Stories from the Fractured Mind. Thank you for all the great calls tonight, and thanks for bearing with me as I ramble on into the evening. Yeah, I don't know, lots of things in play here, and like I said, a lot of these networks just keep growing. Again, Herschel's got his hand up. Looking forward to talking to him as well, and Austin in Michigan. You guys are incredible. Just again, building all kinds of things and sort of leaning on the inspiration of each other, and it's just it's a beautiful thing to see, and I appreciate it very much. So thank you for keep building things. Keep building things. What did I post? This is what's up? Who'd I miss? Gaston Matzel. What's up? That's Harsher Boy. Sorry about that. Yeah, you changed your name 3 times, so that's why. So you got to forgive me. I do remember you. What's up? Austin coming up. We got Joe in Florida. Thanks for the call. Herschel, Lily, the Robert. Thanks for the call. Dawn, and that's La Mosfina. How you doing? Good evening. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Hello. If I missed anybody, just say hi. Hey, you is here over on YouTube. Hello. Good evening. How you doing? Yeah, you can hack anything. Yeah, you bet your ass you can hack anything. Who did I miss? Kelly's here. I missed you earlier. Sorry about that. Hello. Who did I miss? What's up? GR Hutch over there on YouTube. I see you guys. Okay. Ioxy. And there we go. What's up? Anybody? Real JB. Jason Parker's over there on Rumble. Ephemerance, Gordo, Sweets. I see you guys. Thanks again for posting the links and being cool and chill with each other. And just being the most amazing people on planet Earth. You make my world go round. I hope I do my part for you. Here we go. Troubled Minds coming up. We got more from James. We got Austin. We got Herschel. Who is that with a hand up? I'm not sure who that is. Let's find out. Is that maybe Jay? Is that Jay? Might be Jay from yesterday. Oh, it's Jen. Okay, cool. We got Jen with her hand up as well. Sweet. We'll talk to Jen. Here we go. Troubled Minds happening right about now. Is it meow? Right about meow. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. All the places, all the things, troubledminds.org to find them all. Follow our friends, help our friends. Let's do this together. Again, we're growing together as a community, as an idea space, as just a place to get together and hang out and have fun and support each other. Tonight we're talking, I'm calling this Art Imitates the Afterlife, the light at the end of the narrative. Now, what the hell does that mean? How about this? What if the hero's journey isn't a metaphor? What if every story you've ever loved is a training simulation for something you'll actually experience? We keep telling the same story across every culture and every age. Maybe we're not inventing it. Maybe we're remembering it. And maybe we're supposed to. Maybe it is us being the guardian of our own threshold, that psychopomp that draws us across and into the light or away from the light, as it were. As usual, look, I'm no guru or anything. I'm just me. I'm just a guy thinking about weird stuff and lucky enough to have a bunch of amazing folks and collaborators to talk about this stuff with. I mean, like I said, if without you guys, I'm mumbling to myself in a corner, and that's a bad look. So thank you for legitimizing my weirdness. Love to hear you guys' thoughts on this. We got Austin coming up. Anything, James, real quick, and we'll go to Austin, and then the rest of these calls. Welcome back.
Yeah, not too much right now. Just great calls from Joe and from Robert, and looking forward to the rest.
Indeed. James. Okay, let's go. Let's do it. I don't know how Austin keeps getting bumped to the bottom, but let's go. Austin in Michigan. What's going on, brother? You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight? What's on your mind? Go right ahead. Hello.
Hey, mic check.
1, 2. We got you this time.
Okay.
Loud
yes. And clear. Bergong. Excellent. I said it in Spanish. I learned a new word.
Perfect. I won't ask. Go ahead. What's on your mind?
Well, I wrote some stuff to... Oh, yeah, I have a little quote that I want to share that I think will add up into all of our minds investigating the subject collectively together.
Fire away.
And what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. And I was going to end that with something that I got out of here. It's that I think that light is what we're all made out of.
Yeah.
We all come from the light, go to the light because we are the light.
Yeah, and
it's really easy. I think the nervous system is like, over time as we age, I think it's designed to entrap us in the identity of the 5 senses, and we forget what we came from. We forget like our source, our true nature. And there's exercises that I've been practicing that I believe have greatly enhanced my ability to retain these feelings, which are like Qigong and Shaolin Self-Mastery course. After 3 years of practicing it, they taught me how to breathe in week 1. They taught me a little bit more about breathing after month 11, and another like exercise that is just breathing focused. And I've applied it to everything I do at work, at home, etc., my daily disciplines. All of it. It's really helped. Oh, and the hand massage balls, the bioting balls. Crazy about how something like that can do so much. It's not so much what they do, it's more of what you're focusing on when you're using them. You're focusing on the feeling in your hand, the difference between the in the middle, the in between of relaxation and tension. And the more you practice, the more you can start to feel your mind like callousing to this new muscle of how much I don't think there's a limit to how much you can do this. That's why I'm speaking this way. I think it's very much just a thing that you can literally sacrifice your entire life for, and you're going to get some stuff out of it. Like, it's always a return in some way. And I believe it helps you take care and of whatever you want in this lifetime with family, relatives. It helps you communicate and understanding and know that what you're saying has been understood, because you've gone deeper on being honest with yourself when you practice it, and you would just unlock new little nuggets of what honesty feels like.
Yeah, well said, all that. Are you familiar with the bardos in Tibetan Buddhism?
Yeah, this is actually something that I looked into before I did mushrooms when I was pretty young. And yeah, I think I was like, before I was 14, for a few years, I was looking into all kinds of stuff, and the Tibetan Book of the Dead and the Dying NASA Gym videos, which are like really controversial, very short videos and could be fake, but I mixed it all up with Andrew D. Basiago and Jordan Maxwell in those days, the Tibetan Book of the Dead. That was a huge part of my journey, actually. That was probably gave me a little bit of an edge, illusionarily gave me an edge, because really what it did was just allowed me to notice things in myself that were distracting me more in a way, just by going through this Tibetan Book of the Dead. It helped me let go of things that, if I were to cling to them, they would have hurt people, and I wouldn't have been able to do the things I did, like stand up for people or whatever, if it wasn't for me remembering that really gave me an edge, especially with crazy people that were like really crossing the line. Yeah, I remember a few times in my life where that really, and when I was near-death experiences too, I think they helped me not give myself a heart attack, because I just relaxed and completely let go and accepted everything, and kind of felt like my life was flashing before my eyes, and I was like content with everything that was going on. I just laid down in the grass and looked up at the sky. And I walked behind the house. I was hiding like tremendous pain, and I don't think my mother noticed, but I laid on the grass and just looked up at the sky, because my mother was over there, and then I was like talking to her, and then I stopped talking, then I walked away, and then I was like, holy shit, I'm gonna die. I better get out of sight of my mom so I can die in the grass, because I would rather want to do that than go to a hospital. Just part of my psychology there. I'm a bit crazy in that way.
No, I don't think anybody wants to die in a hospital, if we're being real about that. So lots of stuff here. So the bardos, I'll get to that a little bit later, but the reason I brought it up is one of them. So there's 3 living and there's 3 sort of dying bardos from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And one of them, so the first one is just like life. It is the thing we all experience. It's sort of like the normie version of everything. But then the second one is that breathing, that meditation, that sort of aspect that you're describing. So I like I said, I'll get into this a little bit in depth later on in maybe the final segment here, but I wanted to make sure that if you didn't know about it, you should maybe go revisit some of that stuff, because you're talking about exactly it. Oddly enough, as usual, we get together and sort of stoke these ideas at each other, and I don't know, they kind of come out whether we know it or not. I just wanted to point it out.
There's this little video that DJ Solo made, like a mix that was Tibetan Book of the Dead themed, and that's really the only reason I ever found out about it. A best friend of mine played a disc that the DJ gave him himself in person, and ever since I was like really into it. However, the last few years I have let go of like all my favorite songs, just to take the music as medicine for the mind quote that I seen on the Masonic Temple and experiment with it by taking it very, very seriously and using it like legit, like potent medicine. And that made a huge change. That's when my life made it actually the biggest change. There are some people in the call group now that suggested that I should be more mindful about that before. And I kind of, they just said it. They didn't try to like beat it into me or anything. They just said it, and it stayed in my head because I acknowledged it was possible, and I eventually experimented with it, and that was probably the best thing I ever did. Because now when I'm working, I'm doing roofing now, and when I'm working, I don't recall the songs I would recall when I was younger. I recall like prayers and stuff instead, and that really helps. It's a huge boost because I like to use some of them, like the Heart Sutra, for example. I think would go great with the Tibetan Book of the Dead. The Shaolin Temple shows favoritism towards this mantra. I'm not saying it's their favorite. Mantra is just like what your thought is like. So just changing your thought patterns, your mantras, you're supposed to be able to like completely change your life just from that, but understandably so, because that's what perceives everything.
Well said. Well said. And yeah, so it's the bardo of meditation. So 1, it's the bardo of this life. 2, the bardo of dream. 3rd, what we're talking about is the bardo of meditation. Let me read this. It's super short. This is the state achieved in deep practice when ordinary conceptual thinking drops away and the mind rests in its natural condition. Very much what you were just describing. Experienced meditators touch something in this state that's said to resemble the clear light encountered at death. Another rehearsal, as we're talking about. Fire stuff, brother. What else you got? We got Herschel and Jen behind you. So wrap it up. Appreciate the call. Thanks for being patient, and thanks for deferring to Robert there. You were the best. What you got?
I'm going to share some extra weird stuff that I wouldn't normally say around regular people because it sounds insane. But I know that this crew is a huge fan of this stuff, so I owe some stories. And I'll share short, like some of the ones I'm thinking of that hit the subject we're talking about today, light. I found within the past few months that I've been able to see light with my eyes closed and use it, and playing with my dog, for example. Like I can focus on it, go into that clear state. It's similar to the death experience, but now it's just from training, and it's just become more of a muscle. And I've been playing with my dog with my eyes closed more, so she'll like try to, when me and my dog play, she'll like try to bite me and claw me and kick me and everything. Like she just goes crazy depending on how slow I'm breathing. Now, when I'm breathing really, really slow and focused, my dog will attack me, and if you've seen it, you would think she's trying to kill me. You would really believe it, because she would get so emotionally like activated, she would just pretend like she would growl and like snap and everything, and because she knew that I was like in this state where time was slowed down, so she would just, maybe I changed her from the breathing because we're all connected through the air, possibly. That's what some people have suggested to me, that dog was literally just picking up my energy and just letting me basically pretend like I'm sparring with myself. And she would just, we would go on for as long as I could keep focused on breathing. We would be out in the backyard for like an hour, and there was times I'd be screaming when I'm like trying to rip a stick out of my dog's mouth and she's not letting go.
Yeah, dogs definitely have that sixth sense, and so maybe it is part of the respiration aspect. Maybe it's a little bit more fun for her. I don't like that. I'm sure the science.
My
would
heart was
suggest
slowing
it.
down.
Yeah,
my
exactly.
heartbeat was slowing down. They say they can feel that.
Yeah, I'm sure science would have some things to say about it, but I do wonder about sort of the metaphysics of it. I believe that there might be something more to that, and I appreciate you sharing that very much. Part of the third bardo, I think, part of the meditative aspect of becoming one and centered with yourself and recognizing that we won't be here forever. We are temporary. You're the best, brother. I appreciate the call. Go ahead.
I use Claude AI to enhance my investigation of all this stuff as well, and I have had Claude make like several books that I gotta check out tonight that I haven't looked in a while. I've been fasting from Claude for months, and I like to fast from pretty much as many things as possible just to see if I'm letting it control me and I'm not controlling it. Just to test that, to test myself, because sometimes I don't. If I'm not certain, I'll experiment. But yeah, that's about it. I won't I won't go on it.
You're good. I think we got to watch that. We all got to watch that. Limit the access to some of the AI tools, or you're going to turn into a muppet. You're the best, brother. Appreciate you very much. Thanks for the call, and we'll talk to you soon. Have a great night. Happy New Year, and you're the best.
God be with you.
You as well. Thank you so much. That's Austin in Michigan. Good friend for a long time. Enoch, affectionately on Discord. Come join the Discord. Come meet these amazing people. And like I always say, they're more amazing than they seem here because I cut them off and, all the rest of the stuff. I'm sort of bullying people. All right, now talk. Speaking of which, let's go to a commercial. Herschel, what's up, brother? How are you tonight? Talk. You're on Troubled Minds.
I'm okay. How's the sound? I'm trying a different configuration. Can you hear me?
Yep, you sound great. Welcome to the thing.
Good.
Go right ahead.
Excellent. Okay, yeah, well, the thing I'm so curious. I really want to know where stories come from. And that's why I started my podcast. Like, I figure if I ask enough people, I might get closer to figuring that out. Like, that's the question that I want to answer. So we're always trying to tell, our brain is always trying to tell us something. So that's like, I want to know what I'm trying to tell myself. And the information that's in our subconscious comes from our well of experience, our life. It comes from the things that we pick up subconsciously that we're not aware that we're picking up, because your brain is always gathering data at all times, even if you're not aware of it. And then, we've had these conversations about this collective consciousness, cosmic consciousness, the collective unconscious, all of that. I often really think a lot about genetic memory. I'm wondering if some of the things where we get our stories don't come from, the DNA matrix of the fractal matrix of our DNA, and the memories that go back many, it can go back for millennia. I wonder, it's so many things there are traits, and traits develop like muscles, and things are passed down. Memories might be passed down. I can remember things I've read, especially esoteric things that I have read, things of the mysteries, reading down a page and feeling with certainty that I have read these exact words before, and these are things that I've known, and these are things I know. And I'm reading it, and I'm like, when did I read this before? But I know that I didn't read it in this lifetime. It was, what I'm saying? Like, it was the first time.
Yeah, almost as if those are like those reality anchors, as I like to call it, that persist, and we still feel them, even though, because a lot of these texts that are alive today, looking at the Dead Sea Scrolls, I know this, they're accurate, like they haven't changed in thousands of years. So there are, and that's just one example, and it makes me wonder about what other texts, what kind of things are we reading that are literally so ancient and so cooked into who we are, baked into the human aspect, that maybe, just maybe, they do come from some glowing source. And look, I know what the materialist would say, I know what the fundamentalist would say, the religious fundamentalist, and look, I get it. I can see both of those things, but I wonder if there are a third, a fourth, a fifth, a seventh, a 10th way, and that's why we do this, and as you know, why we get together. I don't want to tell you again, I was there, and I said it a couple times already tonight, but fantastic job. Like, Herschel is doing an incredible thing getting authors to talk about storytelling, and you read stories, and it's an incredible thing. The Arc of the Bard, like I said, it hasn't launched yet, but you can get sort of a sneak preview if you join his Discord. We'll have the link in the chat here, and I'll put it in all the chats as well. But come hang out, come meet these amazing people, because he has had some incredible guests already. I'm like, damn, he's finding gold all over again. But we'll launch that properly when it comes out. But fantastic work. I wanted to point out how much I enjoyed listening to that today. So thank you for that.
it meant a lot to have you there. It means so much to have the audience. It really means a lot. And I know that the guests like having a little group to talk to. So it really helps. And it means a lot to me to get the support. It really does. But going back to where I was at before, so when we're trying to find out this thing that we're trying to tell ourselves, I thought today that maybe it's where the world, what's the world trying to tell us? Because if our brain is a receiver of all of the information, it's not just what we're trying to tell ourselves, it's what the world is trying to tell us. So that really is, our consciousness really is a connection to everything. In that respect, in the way that we're talking about this, in the way that our brains absorb information, in the way that we have the memories of all of our experiences, the way that there could be a collective unconscious, and the way that our genetic memory might play into it. It really is not just ourselves trying to tell ourselves something, but maybe it's the world. What is the world trying to tell us? So that goes to what James mentioned earlier about how so many stories, so many archetypes, so many kind of symbols and characters show up and all over in different parts of the world. You know, because we are trying to tell ourselves something, and more I think that what we're trying to tell ourselves is that we're one.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I couldn't agree more. And that's really what, again, one of the backbones of what Troubled Minds is telling those stories makes us recognize it, because your guest today was talking about Princess and the Pea and read sort of a retelling of that she wrote. And I thought it was incredible because she akin it to her autism, which she learned late in life. Again, you guys are going to love this stuff. It's incredible. And I do wonder, right, like hearing these stories from other people, not just how they write them, but how they read them, and you can feel it really means something to them. But then also there's things in these old stories that I had no idea were there because it's an interpretation of somebody else. And this is how we relate to each other. We see these things differently, and it's good to be able to talk about them from sort of the campfire perspective, how everybody sees it slightly differently. Just an incredible thing. And, you know, and I think as usual, that storytelling is the most potent technology. I think it plays, and I think it may play forever. And it's an incredible thing to think about.
Yeah, I just so people, to give people that she did a retelling of The Princess and the Pea. And she likened the pea and the princess's sensitivity to the pea to the autism, to the sensitivity that autistic people have. So the princess was being punished because she could feel. And I had never heard or thought of that story like that before.
Same. And once again,
was cool.
Super cool. This is what I mean.
Yeah.
And she was brilliant too, brilliant in all the ways. Yeah. So again,
oh my goodness. Yeah.
Right. So we've teased that enough. That's going to come out in a couple of weeks. And when he launches his podcast, we'll promo the heck out of it. We got about a minute,
and
a couple minutes left.
It'll be Saturday.
Okay. We'll promo the heck out of that. Let me know when it launches. We'll drop it in the Discord and everywhere else. I'll put it on X and stuff. A couple minutes left.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'll just tell you, the first guest, his name is Annika Lavina. And she's an entrepreneur, and she writes fantasy, and she was a wonderful guest because she asked me questions, and that helped fill out time in the show, and it also helped me kind of get a feel for what the direction, where I needed to go with the show. It was great. I like it. I like the fact that she took the bull by the horns and started asking questions. And then the second guy, the second guest, his name is Gary Moore. He was fantastic too. He's from Chicago, and he teaches children with behavioral issues from kind of impoverished backgrounds, and he's also does adult education as well. And he did residency in Waukegan at the Ray Bradbury Center. And for a while as a poet. And today we had a Dr. Alicia Anderson, who's a mythologist, and she did her dissertation, her doctoral thesis on the unconscious.
Yeah. Yeah.
Origins of stories.
Right
How
down,
cool is that?
Right down my alley. I was stoked. I was like, wow, this is incredible. And that's the point.
Yeah.
And
she was stoked too.
Yeah.
She was stoked to come on. She was like, oh my gosh, your podcast description is exactly what I studied for 6 years. You're like,
Sweet. Finding each other in the wicked world, as they say. You're the best, brother. We're just about out of time. If you need more, you got it on the other side. You tell me. But
no, we're good. We're good. I'll be around though. Maybe I'll pop back in. But thanks everybody. It's good to be back, and Happy New Year.
You were the best. Commercial Herschel. Go follow his Substack. Find it at Commercial Herschel, as you would expect. Just search it yourself. troubledminds.org/friends. Click it. Herschel. Actually, I've got the website up. I'll just show you. Click the friends on top. Scroll down. It's alphabetical. H. Herschel. Click it. He's got the sexiest link tree in the game. Go give him a follow on all the places. We're right back. More Troubled Minds coming up. We got Jen, the Arcane Observer, more from James, and your calls as well. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds on the way.
Let's check the news. Polymarket, an online prediction market, is facing scrutiny due to instances of suspiciously well-timed bets, suggesting possible insider trading. Examples include bets placed before a U.S. raid in Venezuela, the Nobel Peace Prize announcement, and Google's year-end search report. Unlike traditional financial markets, Polymarket lacks clear insider trading policies, with its CEO suggesting that leaking information could be beneficial for predicting the future. While competitor Kalshi prohibits insider trading, the concept of it being a feature is gaining traction, with some arguing it provides real-time news. However, this raises concerns about fairness, potential misuse of privileged information, and the absence of editorial judgment. Polymarket, despite regulatory issues in the U.S., is planning a comeback with support from political figures. A recent study suggests that AI is responsible for generating over 50% of online articles. This raises concerns about the future of human writing, authorship, and the value of creative work. Drawing parallels to reactions to mass media in the past, the article argues against extreme views, suggesting instead that we consider how AI shapes and is shaped by human interaction. While AI excels at formulaic content like news updates and how-to guides, displacing some freelance writing work, it may also lead to a renewed appreciation for original, human-generated writing that retains a unique voice and stylistic intention. The evolving interaction between human and AI writing could eventually make the distinction between the two less significant. A brief Netflix outage occurred as Stranger Things fans believing in a fan theory called #ConformityGate swarmed the platform expecting a surprise alternate finale a week after the official end. Despite creators and Netflix debunking the theory, the influx of viewers caused technical issues. The final season of Stranger Things garnered 105.7 million views, ranking it among Netflix's most-watched shows, and further content from the Stranger Things universe is planned, including a documentary and animated series. Thanks for listening to the Troubled Minds Radio Network.
Those stories are wild. That Maduro one. So the Polymarket, I guess a $20,000 bet came in at the last second just before that Maduro raid, where it was like, Polymarkets. It's an offshore betting platform because you can't bet on this stuff in the States. It's illegal to bet on those types of things here. But yeah, they're like, oh, insider trading, no problem. Let the guys in the Pentagon that know this stuff is coming, just rake the rest of us because whatever. I mean, this is silly. And the other one, wildly enough, the Stranger Things bit, like supposedly the fan theory of the hidden episode or whatever, like brought down Netflix. Like what? This is last night? Like what is going on? The internet is becoming a juggernaut, a force of nature. What's up, guys? Hope you're well tonight. If I missed anybody, sorry about that. Doing my best. What's up, Lily? The Robert, thanks for the call. What's up, Dawn is here. Jen's coming up next. I see you there. Steve in England. What's up, Law Mosfina? We've got Gaston, Matzal, Enoch, Herschel. Thanks for the call. And Hersher Boy. Sorry, I didn't remember your third name there. My bad. I'm getting old. The Robert says this. Thank you for the generous donation over there on Rumble. He adds, the interwebs turned up a rumor tonight predicting that on the 12th of August, Earth will lose gravity for 7 seconds. That doesn't sound like a good time. For a good time, check that out. I wonder what the Polymarket odds on that are. And watch for like the just before it happens, a $20,000 bet. Somebody in the know. Hope you guys are well tonight. What's up? Algo's here. We got the real Jason Parker. I see you guys. Thanks for being cool and chill and just being nice to each other in the chat and being kind in general. You guys are the best. If I missed anybody, sorry about that. Doing my best to keep up. I will circle back. Carl's here. I see you, Carl. And here we go. Troubled Minds happening now. More from James. We got Jen and your calls as well. The unseen Steve McQueen. I see you. Here we go. Troubled Minds. Meow, as I say. Oops. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're streaming on YouTube, Rumble, X, Twitch, and Kick. We are normally broadcasting on the Troubled Minds Radio Network. That's KUAP Digital Broadcasting. And tonight we're taking your calls on Discord because the phone line's down. Still kind of beta test coming back. I took a couple months off, and welcome to Troubled Minds in 2026. A lot of things to think about, a lot of things to talk about, but recognize, you guys know it if you've been here for a minute, that really this is just all about being human. Looking at things so differently and trying to recognize that a lot of these, I don't know, the parables, the allegories, all the things that we're always talking about, these fairy tales, that there's some resonance to this that I like to call human resonance that is as yet quantified. And I think it's probably spookier than, well, we probably could quantify in 2026. We're working on it, but yeah. Let's go to Jen in a second here. James, anything else? I got Jen coming up on the stage. Welcome back, James. And if you got anything to add, we'll go to Jen in just a moment.
Yeah, great calls from Enoch and Herschel. I do think, real quick, that a good part of what the stories we create, the ideas we think of, that does come from us, from our own minds with the different levels of the mind. But of course, being me, I also think that there can be an other source. And what that other is, I don't know. But I think it does exist, and that's just based on my experiences and experiences of others.
Yeah, and clearly the human melting pot is where this stuff comes from. But what other aspects are in that metaphysical sense? I mean, the muses are an ancient idea. We've been talking about this forever, but what does it mean? And channeling things, and there's just so many ways to look at this. The downloads you get as an artist, as a writer, as a musician, some of the best songs ever written historically, the toppest songs ever were written in like 10 minutes. Like those types of things, it happens. And so glad you're here to talk with us about it and consider these ideas. You were the best. Anything else?
Just congratulations to Herschel as well on the show. I haven't been able to listen to it as much as I really like it all. But I've listened to his previous shows, and I know they're great. So I'm sure that the rest will be great as well going forward.
Absolutely. You will be in for a treat. When I'm tuned in, it's been incredible. He's got some really great guests. Let's do it. 702-957-1037 is the phone number to call, except it's not working tonight, so don't call it. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org instead. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Jen in Missouri, the Arcane Observer. Welcome back. Happy New Year. I hope you're well. What's on your mind tonight?
You too. Happy New Year. Can you hear me okay?
Loud and clear. You sound great.
Oh, good. Okay, I'm on my phone, but I hope it'll be fine. No, I think when you're looking at death, you have to look at the entirety of what it means, the absoluteness of it. And I only say that because when looking at, the reality of life and the level of suffering, and it's not like to be a downer, but I can't believe that the suffering that is a part of existence is for nothing. It's ironic that the option to feel love and devotion to others is a source of so much suffering, and it makes suffering more severe. It's built in, and in that mechanism, it kind of gives you a glimpse, at least to some degree, because there is no life that is free of it. And it gives you a glimpse into the machinery of what the creation is. And can we accept that, no one is chosen to be free from it? That everyone is experiencing some different degree of it, along with the beauty and the joy and the innocence and the growth with nothing, and coming up through life and the experiences and all the memories and everything. that encapsulates what being a human is. You know, and there's the issue that fate and destiny might not. Now, this is all speculative, but that fate and destiny may not exist. You know, and this could be, the thing is too, in talking like this, many things could be open to being true or not. There's no absolute knowing. There's just none. There is no answer. But just looking at the mechanism, you know, why would it be that fate and destiny would need to exist? Because who has ever looked at the suffering of, say, a child or an innocent person and believed that it was destiny? It's always the issue I had with that.
Exactly.
The same with karma.
Very well said.
Plans like that.
Very well said.
Go ahead.
Just real quick. So Algo posted this over on Rumble as well, and he asked the question, is suffering subjective? And I know he's sort of begging the question. I don't think he means it directly, but think about it in the context of exactly what you're describing. No, an innocent person who never harmed a soul, do they exist? Certainly. Do they deserve the suffering they get? Absolutely not. And so that becomes the conundrum. And I'm with you. And I think this is the argument of I wouldn't say an agnostic, but the argument of an atheist that would say, well, if there was some justice in the universe, these things would not happen. And yet here we are, they're happening.
Yeah. You know, I mean, it's worth pointing out. People call it existentialism. I don't know. You know, I've heard, you know, that they, you know, not necessarily the same thing, but many people lean towards that. But they also lean to there being no purpose and existentialism. But that it served a purpose, you know, it was due to circumstance of the rules of this realm, you know, that interference with suffering from some divine force would violate the rules of this world. And evil looks like a lack of, evil looks different than people think of it. It can be, you know, a lack of vigilance on behalf of humanity, a passivity. Other things were more important right then at that moment. A lack of noticing what you needed to do, like a duty that needed to be done, a moral truth, you know, that it matters, and there's a price for the lack of caring that it matters, that life is important. And I think death really enunciates that, and we don't want to look at it. And in fact, the lack of it, too much comfort can lead to disaster. And the meaning is from the choice, the fact that the freedom of choice, do we believe in it or not? But if you are free to choose, then you have to accept that you must be allowed to choose, and all the time, every moment of what you do is a choice, and the outcome is very pronounced throughout your entire existence. And freedom means suffering as well. It has to. Freedom of choice means suffering, as it has to be possible. And even obedience. What is obedience without the choice to not participate? Obedience without the option, but we have that. So that tells us a lot more about the machinery we're working with, because you can choose not to obey, and when you're not allowed to choose that. But in this world, without the rules of humanity, you are allowed to not, you're allowed to not be obedient to, and choose, and there's all this freedom of choice. And that tells us, you know, a lot about this space. And we don't have to accept that suffering is necessary, which is interesting. You can disagree with it. You can hate it. But death is non-porous in this sort of thinking. I'd say that death must be a final, because otherwise it was for nothing. No end to the experience in this world, it would begin to mean nothing that you went through what you did in this world. You know, it would begin to mean nothing. And in death must be an end. There must be a realm of the dead that does not involve the living. And in that realm, I imagine there must be a reckoning of events if there is a soul. It's not necessarily that there's a judgment, but there must be a knowing of the life that was recorded by the soul if there is a soul. And I would assume that in my belief system, there is. That's just that's why this is so individualized for people. And I wish it would be a place where people could be told, that you did well. But who knows? I mean, that would be enough just to be told that you did well, right?
Yeah, in the this the Egyptian way is weigh your heart against a feather, and you don't get eaten by a Apep the serpent. So that's a good job, good job in the afterlife.
Yes, good job.
Something like that would be nice. Yeah, I mean, it is complicated, but the fascinating thing to me about all of this, and we've talked about this quite a lot in the past as well, is that regardless of sort of the what we believe, there still seems to be a ton of common ground in beliefs and these belief systems. So I don't know. I think as usual, kind of mirroring these things up to each other and then asking ourselves, what do we believe and why do we believe these things from all these different walks of life is really the incredible part. And I'm glad you're here with us tonight. What else you got? Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, okay. Like, with souls, I don't think that just because, like, in this type of thinking, if you kind of test it against itself, it wouldn't insinuate that the realm of the dead could not see the living since they've left the physical body. They could be near, I'd like to think that they can be near the people who are still in the world. But I think that there could be a possibility that they'd be unable to impact them, because if that person were to try to connect to them, or if they were to try to do something like that, it would interfere with the original rule, which is that they must have a freedom of choice that's unimpeded. The person literally has the responsibility of deciding solely upon themselves, given what is in front of them. But I think that the soul of the person themselves when they were alive, could connect through the alignment of the memory of the person that is now passed from them. Like if the life that the person has lived has made an impact enough that the people who are still in the living world, when they think of them, when they have reverence for them, it guides their life. And it makes it matter more than you would think. It makes it matter that your life matters more than just living it. It makes it's important to be there as a impact for others in your realm around you immediately. But I do think that the souls can witness the living world, but they can witness if there was any impact from them living in it also. But I'm not saying that ghosts are not real. So when people experience supernatural experiences, I think that ghosts can also be real. And I think that they'd be like an imprint, a sort of pattern that's left over. That's not the soul, that's not the person, but it's like a sort of it's a leftover memory in this world of that person. But I don't think, in some ways, I don't think that ghost is the soul, because otherwise it ruins the first rule that like right. The death has to be final.
Yeah, totally.
Otherwise it's porous.
Exactly. Just real quick, residual human energy, sort of an imprint left behind that's not the entirety of the soul itself. Just kind of spitballing here. But I agree with you too. Yes. I think it's complicated as hell. And this is why, like I always say, you ask the right question to 1,000 different people, you're likely to get 1,000 different answers. And welcome to Troubled Minds. Fire stuff. Anything for her, James, while we got her on? Glad to have you back. Happy New Year to you, Jen. James, have you got anything? Go ahead.
It's good to visit with you.
It's so good to hear you again, Jen.
Me too.
Yeah, and this you're what you're talking about there reminds me of so many reports of experiences where when people are supposedly contacted by loved ones that have passed on, no one is ever given the answer of this is what the afterlife is. This is how it all works. You don't get that. You get little pieces of little comments here and there if you're lucky. Even that is somewhat rare. And sometimes you'll get images or you'll get a sense of what it might be like. But no one has ever revealed that they've ever gotten the whole answer of what the afterlife is. And so that
That's
to
really
me, that fact alone does hint at that necessity of the two worlds or the two levels of reality, whatever you want to call that, living and the non-living, the physical and non-physical, needing to be somewhat separate, and knowledge of each other existing, it can't be complete. Otherwise, it would disrupt everything, possibly for both sides.
Possibly. You know, and with the aliens, you know, the concept of aliens or demons, I don't think that the system we're talking about, if it's worth considering, it doesn't negate that. There's no reason when you consider that there could be non-human intelligence. We look at the bottom of the ocean, look at the type of creatures that are living in the world. The aliens are a real possibility. And you know, I've thought about this with demons and things like that. That if demons were real, I believe that they would not be in the spirit realm. I think that death actually would be an impossible place for them to go. And so I think that even the concept of demons would have to not be in the spiritual realm, but literally in the real world to some regard. And people have talked about this throughout history in different philosophies, that the genus, you know, and in some cases they've called it the Juno, you know, they've just all kinds of different, you know, ideas about that in the Gen and so on and so forth. But even with aliens specifically, you could say that they could exist because there's no rule necessarily about the existence, but there's something unique about the morality, the choices about being able to decide. For example, a dog may not think about moral decisions long term. And I think there's a difference there. And so whether or not these non-human intelligences could be superior even in some degree, as in like they've been around with technology perhaps that's more advanced, or they could have a type of intelligence that's not human but advanced, could still exist and could even be predatory. There's literally nothing that defines that could not be a possibility, which makes our world very interesting. But all of that could exist at the same time. And even in the death place, why would choice not continue? Even in death, choice could still continue to exist. And even the concepts about hell and things like that may not be what we think, and they may be a choice, you know, that is made, a refusal. So that in heaven could be an acceptance of the suffering, and that it had some good reason to it. So I think that there's so many different things like that that I like to think about. But I think it's, you know, that's about it. Just that, you know, I don't know if it's communion with acceptance or what it would be at the end, but
let's hope it's not devoured by Apep the serpent. That's all I want to know.
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not. Let's So thank you again for chiming in here. Great to hear your voice again. It's been a minute.
Have a good night.
I appreciate the call. Appreciate the call. You know where you love her, that Jen, the Arcane Observer. Please go give her a follow on all the places. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. Very super simple. It is alphabetical, and you can find Jen and her YouTube channel. I think she hit a bunch of stuff on her channel and is going to relaunch it at some point, but do go give it a follow in the meantime. And I haven't checked, so I don't know if that's recent. Sorry about that. But yeah, super simple. troubledminds.org/friends. Scroll down. It says using static friends list, database connection not available. Oops, I got to fix that. See, we got website problems. It says follow Jennifer right there, and click that, and please do that. We're blessed to have such smart friends that are willing to sort of entertain ideas outside of their own singular belief systems. That's the whole point of this is, look, there are larger questions you could ask directly, and I think they're less interesting when you ask them directly. You know, because there's so much metaphysical meat on the bone in the periphery of these discussions, and that's exactly the point. I'm going to get to the bardos here because I think it's important to kind of flesh this out and gives a little more value to the conversation tonight. We're just about done here. We're only going to do 2-hour shows for the time being. Try and do more during the week, maybe 4-ish, maybe get to 5, because that's how you sell to radio. You got to be consistent. And so, so we're gonna cut this short in about 7 minutes or so. So hang tight, James. You get the final word here. I appreciate all the calls tonight. You guys are absolutely the best. Like I said, you make my world go round. I hope I do my part for you. I'm going to read this. So I was talking about this when Austin called. Shout out Austin. The bardos, right? So the word bardo itself, and this is from the Tibetan Book of the Dead, okay? The word bardo itself just means gap or intermediate state. Most people only know about the death bardos because that's what the Tibetan Book of the Dead focuses on. But Tibetan Buddhism actually describes 6 bardos that cover all of existence. And you're always in a bardo, and life itself is a bardo. So the first is, of course, the bardo of this life, sometimes called the natural bardo of birth and living. And it's BARDO from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. So this is ordinary waking consciousness from the moment you're born until you start dying. Everything you consider normal life is this bardo. The texts say this is actually the most precious one because you have a stable body and mind to work with. The best conditions for practice and preparation, which leads us into what Austin was saying. The second is the bardo of dream. Sleep isn't just downtime. It's a distinct state of consciousness with its own rules and opportunities. Tibetan practitioners work with lucid dreaming and dream yoga specifically, which would be lucid dreaming, because navigating dreams is considered practice for navigating the after-death states, or the astral, or that out-of-body experience from the near-death experience, right? The NDE and the OBE. If you can stay aware while dreaming, according to the Tibetan Book of the Dead, you have a better shot of staying aware when the bigger disillusion appears. The third is the bardo of meditation, and this is how you prepare yourself for that passing, for that larger contextual liminal space, the end. So these next 3 are actually about dying, about that passage. The third is the bardo of meditation. Wait, sorry, did I read that? Oh yeah, my bad. So this is the state achieved in deep practice when ordinary conceptual thinking drops away and the mind rests in its natural condition. Experienced meditators touch something in this state that's said to resemble the clear light encountered at death. Another rehearsal, as what we were talking about tonight. And that 4, 5, and 6 are about the passage, the liminal space. I got ahead of myself there. The fourth is the bardo of dying. This covers the death process itself, the dissolution of the elements as the body shuts down. Earth dissolves into water, water into fire, fire into air, air into consciousness. There are outer signs like the body growing heavy and cold, and inner signs like specific visual phenomena. Think the DMT that kind of releases in your brain, right? At the end of this process, the clear light of death dawns. This is the first and best opportunity for liberation, again, according to this one source. If you recognize this and rest in it without fear, you're done. Game over in the best possible way. But of course, it's more complicated than that because you have to be prepared for that moment. The fifth bardo is the bardo of dharmata. If you miss the clear light moment, stay away from the light, Carol Ann, right? Consciousness moves into this phase where reality itself starts manifesting in pure form. This is where the peaceful and wrathful deities appear. Brilliant lights in 5 colors shine forth, each associated with a Buddha family, each representing a pure aspect of consciousness. And this is from Claude. Shout out Claude. I'm doing some heavy lifting here. I was reading about this stuff all day. It's fascinating as hell, but it is incredible when you start to put the pieces together with the stuff we're talking about in the larger context. But anyway, so the texts are emphatic that these visions, these entities aren't external beings, but projections of your own enlightened nature. The wrathful ones especially are just your own wisdom appearing in fierce form. If you recognize them as yourself, liberation. If you're terrified and run away, you fall into the next bardo, which is the 6th and the final. The 6th bardo is called becoming. This is where consciousness, having failed to recognize its nature in the previous states, starts moving toward rebirth, that reincarnation cycle. You have a mental body now. You can travel anywhere instantly just by thinking of a place. You're buffeted by the winds of karma, pushed and pulled by habitual patterns, wandering toward your next life. The lights of the 6 realms appear, dimmer and more seductive than the brilliant lights you fled from before. You're drawn toward one based on your dominant karmic tendencies. Karma. Karma is a bitch, as they say. There are still opportunities for liberation here, but they're getting slimmer. Eventually, you see your future parents in union, attraction, and aversion arise based on your coming gender, and you enter the womb. The cycle begins again. Shout out to Robert, saying we have some level of choice in that matter, according to Robert and what he knows about this stuff. Appreciate all the rest of everybody's input on this. And these are, again, from the Tibetan Book of the Dead. And that's all 6 of them. And I just wanted to get that in there so we can kind of wrap this up nice and tidy at the end. And the whole framework suggests that consciousness is always transitioning, always in some intermediate state. And James, you get the final word as promised, a minute and a half or so, and all yours, my man. Thanks for being patient.
No problem. 2 things I have found, again, going through different pages online where people have posted their experiences. Multiple times I have found people who have said they have seen, one or both of the parents have seen apparitions of a child before they had one, only to then have one that looks exactly like that child. And so the idea there is, did that child, that consciousness, was it checking out the parents, just as sort of what you described there, and did it decide to be the child of those parents? So that's a fascinating connection there to, again, reported experiences, which is sort of what I collect and what I look into. The other aspect of all this is an idea I've come up with over the years here based on all those posts. It seems like the afterlife, whatever it is, it can be different depending on where you come from and what your belief system is. And to me, that's fascinating because it hints at there being this system set up where even if, let's say, in just a conceptual way, there was no heaven or hell or whatever you want to think about may have existed before or after, what if, throughout time, millions of humans have created their own version of an afterlife?
Exactly right, which was the basis of the write-up too, by the way. James, he cheated because I gave it to him early and he read the thing before we started, but that's really the point of this conversation. Are we building our own heaven and hell? And is it done through storytelling? And is the storytelling the source of the muses? Or maybe the one light of the bardos themselves? Look, I don't know. I just think it's fascinating to kind of put these ideas together and think about them collectively and ask, why not? Welcome to Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. This is James Salcido of Salcido Paranormal, not just a dear friend, the glue of the show, and of course the paranormal expert of Troubled Minds. Give him a follow, troubledminds.org/friends. It says follow James. Or of course, just go to salcidoparanormal.com. That's SALSIDO paranormal.com, and you'll find James and all the great work he's doing. And that's that. That's a wrap. Again, I'm going to trim these down to 2-hour shows to make sure we get, I'm not rambling on into a 3rd hour like a knucklehead. I do enough knucklehead in 2 hours, but it means we have time for maybe a 4th show during the week. So I'm working on some things, trying to get some things and some actual momentum. So forgive me on that. I appreciate you guys hanging out and being part of this. Like I said, these conversations make my world go round. I hope I do my part for you. If you want to help us, help our friends. troubledminds.org/friends. If you want to help us directly spread the word, let people know a conversation is happening where we're not going to tell you who to vote for. I'm not going to be spitting political news and all the dumb stuff everybody else does. And no offense for the people that like to talk politics or entertain the ideas, but it's just brain rot to me. I think there's so many more interesting things about humanity, about the human soul, about materialism, about everything. Everything. The nature of reality is far more fascinating than some nonsense political drivel. So, yeah, spread the word. Let people know all about us. And thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. If you want to help us directly, buy some merch. troubledfans.com. Yeah, there's hats, there's shirts, there's all kinds of cool stuff. And that's that. I don't know what else to add other than thank you again for being part of this and understanding that I'm imperfect as much as anybody else is, but I am here doing my best. Thanks again, James, for being Johnny on the spot, reading the thing early and being prepared and jumping in here and sitting in. You make my world go round as well, and you have a great night. Happy New Year to you and yours and everybody else out there. We'll be back on Sunday night, God willing, with more Troubled Minds, and that's that. Anything else to add, James?
Just thank you for having me, and great call from Jen as well, and looking forward to having her back on my show as well as co-host there on Saturdays. whenever he's able to make it.
Amen. And I'll save the news. I'll drop it. We got some good news about a coming show. I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'll send you the information in a moment here. But thank you again for listening. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. As we finish, it goes exactly like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. Shout out to Wild West LV over there on Rumble. Thank you for the kind and generous donation. Shutting the stream down. Looking forward to seeing you guys in the next one. We'll see you on Sunday night. Take care.